ahead and walk around the room and just notice how your body feels and get oriented to yourself. Sounds in the room, where you want to practice and move, what texture your feet want to be on. I've set out 2 places for myself. Notice which one you want to work with. Notice if you want to begin in standing or lying down. It's always a thing. For those of us that want to lay down, lay down. For those of us that want to stand, stand. I'll stand for a second and I'll lay down. In standing, notice where you are in the front of your feet, back of your feet. And lying down, notice where you feel more weight in the rib cage, the sacrum, head, back of your heels. And standing, notice which arm feels a little heavier. Like if it had buckets of grain hanging from it. Backs of the heels can have water pouring out. Front of the toes can have water pouring out. Sacrum can have water pushing. If you're lying down, it can have water pushing up current towards your head. Once it gets towards your shoulders, it can push out towards the sides as if your arms are different avenues for the river to go out onto. In standing, you can imagine the same thing from your heels, water going up towards the base of your shoulder blades and then going out towards the side, alleviating the back of your head at C4. If you're in standing, come down onto your back, arms out wide. And just begin to notice your own flow, which side of your body your knees want to go to. Maybe visit the other side just to make sure and notice what it feels like. And go back to the side that you like. Have your arms spread out wide for yourself. Give yourself some space. And let your knees be in a way that's comfortable for you. Your toes can begin to move on their surfaces, your shins. Or maybe it's your head that wants to move side to side and your hands want to move around. And just notice where you begin to play with texture on the floor that you chose. Then we get to begin to go back and forth with where we want to meet our body with sensation, our head, our upper girdle, our upper body, our lower girdle, our lower body. How do you participate in your own sensory sensation? When you get to a stopping point, maybe you really visit that place for a week or 2, 20 breaths, 10 breaths. The side that your knees are on, inhale into that lung. Notice what it does to your low back, shoulder girdle, that upper arm possibly, that lower leg. Keep visiting, breathing into the lung that your knees are laying with. Noticing their relationship. Equal and opposites have an equal and opposite reaction to each other. Newton's second law. Your breath is what movement and yoga have in common. Notice when you begin to venture onto the other side or want to move to the other side, possibly breathing into the same diaphragm, same lung as where the knees are now. The back of your diaphragm and your knees create a container. It's even carried on to your cranium. These round spaces mimic each other. When the body wants to straighten out, come to center, maybe go to the other side, just notice what it wants to do. Maybe roll from side to side for 20 seconds and go, what the heck happened? What's going on now? And come to center. Have your feet on the floor, heels in line with your sits bones, arms out at a T or maybe a capital A. And just begin to notice how you favor each side of your sacrum, each side of your rib cage, each side of your skull, your axial complex, your center. Our axial complex is our head, rib cage, spine, tail, our sacrum. Noticing how the shoulder blades and how the hips become something that is different, separate. Begin to really place your feet back on the floor if they came off like mine did. Whoopsies. I like to roll. And with your hands facing down, heels in line with your sits bones, notice who catches your attention more, your hands or your feet. For me, it's my hands. For you, it might be your feet. And whichever portion of your body you're interested in, I want you to notice which paw, out of the four you have, which paw you're more interested in. For me, it's my left foot and left hand. So I'm going to begin to start slightly pressing into what I want to feel, what my body is also sensing that it can sense. So because it can sense it really well, I'm going to keep reminding the fascial web system that it's really good at sensing left. So I'm going to slightly just press into where I feel things. I feel it at the back of my foot, now front of my foot, portions of the inside of my palm. For you, this story might be different, but I want you to notice, like, where are you touching? Or where are you being touched by the floor? When we begin to notice the question, am I touching or am I being touched? This changes our relationship to our environment. And it changes our fascial web's orientation of space to itself. Big breaths like that are a fascial release sometimes. For me, I know it definitely is. And I'm starting to notice that because I'm interested in my palm, now my other palm is getting interested. This might happen a little bit further along for you or have already happened. And you get to begin to do, you know, what cats do, make little biscuits into the floor. Really get acquainted and really get comfortable. What part of your biscuit can really touch on that palm or that foot. And begin to just really just gently go, hey, I sense that. What does that feel like? As if your hand was in a paper bag and you had to go, what is that I'm touching? You know, go that slow with it. Catch the details. Our rhomboids connect from our shoulder blades into our spine. Our pec goes into our clavicle, which goes then to our sternum, into our spine. So pressing slightly from the top of the hand, from the inside of the palms, using all of the top, bottom, insides of our feet, hands. We get more of a, everybody's now online. Now my right foot's like, hey, I'm a part of the party. Turning everybody on a little bit is needed. You know, that's how we turn the lights on in the house, right? You gotta turn the lights on so you can see where you're going. Our structure is the same way with micro mini movements. In doing this slight bit of process of slowing down to go, ooh, press, 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 ooh, what's that, that. As if you were walking around the house with your eyes closed and you had to really get around the house and not stub your toe or whack your head. And once it feels like all four paws are really putting biscuits into the ground, notice that you might want to roll over and come to cat-cow. Maybe lateral bends once you get there. To do that, let your legs lengthen. And start to either let your tail start to come to the side or your head start to come to the side. Do a lateral bend in the spine to roll over on your belly. And maybe you roll to the other side because that was fun. What the heck did she just do? What? Maybe bend to the other side with your spine. Head will go first or tail will go first. Rolling you. And a lateral flexion to come into seal, crawling baby, up to cat-cow position. Find the position you like. And we'll start with just our head or your tail. Notice if your tail wants to lift towards the ceiling first, or does your head want to move into space more? And I like to really feel, I'm sky oriented, so I like to feel into my head more. So if you're more ground oriented, you might want to feel into your tail and feet more. How do you move from your head space, your tail space? And imagine that you remember like in Harry Potter, the sorting hat that was pretty tall. I want you to imagine like from the very tip of the sorting hat, how do you move from there? And if you had a tail, is it like a bird feather? Is it like a long fox tail? Or like what kind of tail do you have? And from the tip of that tail, can you move first? Moving side side if you would like more lateral bending. Really moving from the tip of your tail, top of your hat that you have, rather than moving from your small little Doberman pinscher tail or from your actual skull. You're really moving from a space of orientation that is in front of these spaces, behind these spaces, to make room for yourself. Fascia likes to feel in the space. Once you're kind of done, come back to center. Forward fold, walk your feet towards the center, or walk your hands back, or both at the same time. Slow roll-ups. Let your shins, the tops of your shins, bend forward so that your heels can land and plant down and also go behind you. When your heels go behind you, you make room for your spine. So when you have enough room with your heels, automatically your sacrum will want to lengthen down. Rolling up vertebrae by vertebrae, your belly is like Thanksgiving. Your shins can still go forward to roll your spine up from the front of your spine. Oh. Wiggle, wiggle once you get there. I always like to wiggle. Going back down the other way, how do you roll back down? So the top of your hat gets to grow long, and then you can let the back of yourself vector out as you go down. There's 7 cervicals, 12 thoracics, 5 lumbars. So how do you allow them to each articulate their movement, letting your shins go forward to help you articulate? No straight legs here, people. Less of that if you can. I get stuck in places too, so I take my time to go down. Less flat spots in our lives is a healthy spine. We all have them. To begin to go up again, let your shins go forward so much that then your sacrum will lengthen down. Your feet can spread out to let this happen. Soft pelvic floor. It's okay to stop somewhere and go, ooh, that's a nice view. Look at that. My thoracic spine is always interesting. Notice where your interesting spot is. Slow down there. Find your feet, feel your hands, feel your head, feel your tail to keep looking at spaces. Once you're at the top, shake it off. You have 20 seconds. You can use me as an example of things to do in those 20 seconds. All right, back to it. Balancing standing series. Notice what knee you want to bend towards your chest first. All these cues will be for your side that you choose first. What side could you be a flamingo with? My left, of course. Interlace your hands in front of the knee you chose to come in front. Flex your heel down towards the floor. And notice where your head and tail like to then visit. Where can they go easily in this? Where can you breathe a little softer? Left lung or right lung? Fill it up. 4 more breaths. Notice where you can really fill that lung. Front, back, sides. Which one do you like to do first? The knee that you have in front, let it come out to the side, opposite arm into cactus. Flex those toes towards your face, heel down on the knee that is up. Your tail and head, they're in two different directions. Notice the space either behind it that you can breathe into, or the space in front of it you would like to breathe into. For me, it's the front. Ah, and then it opened the back. Cool. 2 more breaths. Opposite hand to the outside of the upper knee that is there for you. We're going to do a twist. Keep those toes flexed. Hand that is behind you, my right, so maybe it's your left, is twisting. You can also cactus that arm. You can also reach it up towards the ceiling. You can also take it down towards the floor. Notice where you would like your fascial web to start expanding with you to give you more balance. The back of your head can move in a different direction if it needs more stability. 3 more breaths. Where can you breathe into a space? You might move that arm around in this process to kind of go, I get a stretch there. When you're ready, come back to center, shake it off. Woo! Maybe bounce. And let's do the other side. Flamingo on the other side. Notice the front, the back of that foot. You know, this is not your favorite side to flamingo on. So notice where your fascial web can go, woo, flamingo. I'm not sure if that resonates with you, but I laugh a little bit. Interlace your hands in front of the knee that is lifting up. Notice where your head and tail would like to live a little bit more smoothly. So that might mean bending your knee towards your chest more, or your tail might lengthen down, your head might lengthen up. Notice who you're connecting with more, your paws up on top or the paw down at the floor. Flex your upper heel down towards the floor. Let your toes spread on both feet. Your ears get to listen. What lung do you favor to find more balance in? Three more breaths with that relationship. Opposite hand to the outside, or actually we're opening. Cactus your opposite arm out to the side as you open towards the center. My left knee is going out towards the left. It might be your right. Flex the heel down towards the floor. Notice where that upper chest and lower pelvis like to visit, your head, tail visit spaces. Where can you breathe into your lungs, your right lung, left lung more? Notice your ears, your eyes, your nose. When you're ready, we're switching. My right hand to the outside of my left knee. It might be the opposite for you. Your hand that is behind you, it can be in cactus, it can be up, it can be down, it can be in front of you. Notice where you find span, at what angle. Flex your heel down towards the floor, toes get to lift so that you get to span even with the leg that is lifted. Notice where you get to find ease in your breath. Your right lung, left lung in this situation. Last 3. Smile somewhere, 2. Back of your head gets to turn. Come to neutral, shake it out. Your own movement. What do you need? 10 seconds. Oh, that was a lot of work. Congratulations. I never said that it was easy. I said it was worth it. standing series, a little bit more with dolphin, but just not with dolphin, dancer in the sky. Pick a leg that you would like to flamingo with. Dancer, your hand can come to the outside of the foot or the inside of the foot. Notice what your shoulder likes. The opposite arm out in front of you onto a counter. Press into the counter. Press into the floor that is beneath you. And start to scooch that hand on the counter while slightly pressing, and then you get to kick behind you. What lung can you breathe into, front or back? Enjoy that for 5 breaths. Your standing leg, it gets to be bent on the top of the shin. Notice where you can go into space with your shin. Visit that. 3, 2, kick to come out. Let that hand slide on the countertop. Shake it out. Soft movements are always nice. Opposite side, flamingo on the other side. Inside of the foot or the outside. Hand gets to be on top of the counter in front of you. Start to press into the floor and the counter. Kick behind you. Top of your hand can also press down. Top of your foot can also press into the floor where your extensors live. Might give you a different experience of your extensors while we extend into space. Last 5 breaths. Notice what lung you can really live with in this pose right now with the demand of this stretch. Oh yeah, that right side now. Oh yeah. Kick to come out when you feel it. Slide your hand back. Soft movements coming out. Warrior series. Again, this is always fun. Pick your side of which one you want to come back into Warrior 2. My left leg wants to come back behind me, Warrior 2. In your Warrior 2, notice your front knee, it can have a string on it. Your back hip can have a string on it, or your foot can have a string on it. Notice where you want these things to be pulled. Personally, some people need it a little higher, some people need it a little lower. Notice your head and tail can also have 2 strings on it, vectoring points. Imagine you have 2 sets of strings on your wrist. The back wrist gets to come down while the upper one gets to go up. And the string that's up into the sky, notice where it wants to go. Up, down, further in front of you. Mine's a little in front. And how do you really press into the stretch that you're lifting with? Or maybe behind you, you feel it pulling you. 3. Extended side angle. The front string in front of you is being pulled. And watch what happens. Woof. And then you get to come down into your elbow. Back string back behind you. It might be down. You might want it to be up, around, in a different direction. I like it up and over my head if somebody were to pull that. Oh, that would be lovely. So then I get to notice an anchoring in the back heel or that hip. Three more breaths. Noticing where your strings are being pulled and how you respond with that vector. Your tail and head will pull you out of this. Warrior 2 to the back of your space. String on your middle fingers or your wrists in this one. Sometimes I like the middle finger in this one. Back arm comes down, top arm lifts. The string up above on your wrist or your middle finger, notice we're like, oh, where does this one want to go? Or do you want it to be pulled on the back? Sometimes I really like the back, so I open up the front ribs a lot, like a bow right here. somebody's pulling the string in front to extended side angle. Notice where you would like the string to be pulled on the other side. Maybe it's actually back behind you on this one. Yeah, mine's a little different on this side. Back heel has a string that's being pulled down towards the floor like you're putting your tent into the ground and you don't want it to fly off in the night. Notice what lung you favor breathing into and how you exhale or how you empty. How do you fill and empty? Your tail can start lengthening towards the ground to start coming up. Your head can lift. Toe heel your feet into a star. Let your arms come down, look forward. Wiggle it out. Pyramid pose. Grab 2 blocks. And if you don't have blocks, you can also use like water bottles. 2 water bottles that are taller. I like to take the blocks in my hand and begin. Notice what leg you want to come back behind you. Your tail and head. Notice who wants to lift into the sky first. It's my tail. Notice if it's your head that wants to go into space. And come down to the floor with those blocks. And just get to be in a small space of, that feels nice. Your feet, they can press into the floor and rip the carpet apart, rip the mat apart. Your head and tail, the front of your spine, let it hang like a drape. Let your organs hang. And then notice the weight in your front foot or back foot. Where is the weight? Let the weight keep going to the foot where you feel weight. Where there is space, let that leg feel like it can go off into space. And when things start to even out where the space wants to find weight and the weighted space wants to find space, let that transition happen. I noticed that I went from my front foot with weight to my back foot with weight, and now I just switched. So I'm going to stay with the weight in my back foot, back foot, and let my front foot imagine that it's being pulled by little mice. So it's very slow work. And they're slightly taking away each toe and lengthening it until it feels like it's even now. Now I feel like I'm in both. When you get to center, notice your head and tail. Your tail can start to lengthen towards your back heel. Watch that operation happen. It takes a couple of seconds for it to happen. You can't make it happen, you have to let it happen. That's the difference with fascial movement. And of course you can check side to side and be like, what happened anyway? Go ahead and check it out. And switch sides. Once you get there. It's just the opposite, of course. Once you get there, notice that to go into space, your head or your tail will want to let you do it. Oh, there we go. Your blocks will still be there. Notice where you find them. And then this one, notice where there's more weight in the back foot or in the front foot. And I want you to really land in the weight that you feel. There's no wrong answer to this. Your organs can hang like drapes from the front of your spine, even from the front of your throat. And your nostrils can hang from your cranium. Your hair can hang from your scalp. that's the layer I was looking for. Superficial. Boing. And wherever the weight is, notice where the space is. And that space, the leg that feels like it has space in it, less weight, it gets to imagine that's, being pulled off. I imagine that I'm a big giant and there's small little mice that are starting to pull my leg back a little bit. We've all seen those movies a little bit. And when I feel like the little mice have, tacked me down into like spanning me out, I notice that my body starts to transition to the weight on the back of that space while the other leg gets more space or begins to become lighter. Keep track of your breath and what it's doing. Just be an observant. Let the opposite foot begin to feel like it's light while the back leg or front leg for you has weight. Let space go off into space. Let the little mice take your little toes, each toe at a time. Once it begins to feel more even, you'll feel just a balancing between the weight of each leg. So they'll just turn on at a different rate. Once that happens, your tail will want to lengthen or your head will want to start to lengthen down towards the floor. It might happen simultaneously. Let the tail or head start to roll you back up towards standing. Step forward or backward, notice what you want. Walk around the room a little bit. Standing series with tree and then dolphin, and then we'll start to come down into a twist on the floor. Last standing series. Tree pose, notice which one you want to be a flamingo with. Tree can either be on the inside of the ankle or the thigh, or it can also be a kickstand. Notice which you prefer. Your hands can either be in front of you, anywhere, they could be any kind of tree, or you can get a wrist stretch. Hands behind you. Reverse namaste. Woo! This one's always a struggle for me. Hello. And your tail and your head. Notice where they are in space. Who likes to take off first? How do you find your pause? Your elbows, your knees, they get to soften. They get to have a little bit of a squish. Some Amazon bubble wrap, because they always put too much in there. And notice when you want to come out, there's always a feeling of, I'm done. And when you feel done, go to the other side, shake it out of course if you need to. Have a little moment. And notice if you want to do the same thing the other side, or you want to do something different. That's a you thing, boo. Your spine also gets to participate in which direction. If it had some floodlights on it, which direction would it be? That's always fun to imagine and play with. Notice when you feel complete and just wiggle your way out of it. Dolphin pose, opposite of tree. Tree is going down to go up. Dolphin is going down to go up with the upper girdle. So take a block in your hand. Actually, I like this block in particular. And make it like a number 11 going across. Your arms will be a number 11. And then walk your knees right underneath your hips. Lean forward into those kangaroo arms that you just made and press down to lift. Now your head is not going to be on the block. It is not going to be touching the floor at all. Press down to lift. It'll look like my head is on the floor because of my ponytail. I apologize. You can either stay where you are, or you can walk your feet a little bit closer. Take 5 breaths here. Or you can lift a leg, press down through the opposite and lift, but pressing down through your elbows as you stay lifted. You can also switch legs in between a couple of breaths to go, that's interesting. Notice what you would like. Stay where you are. You have 4 more breaths. You can also go into full dolphin, Pincharasana. I don't feel like doing that today, so I'm going to stay right here. Notice that your elbows are allowed to press down, and so there are the tops of your hands down into the floor. 2 and 1. Release, bend your shins. Do whatever you feel is necessary after that. Breathing seems like a big one. And come onto a seat. Our quads don't get enough love in this life. So let's get into those quads. Take one knee back up behind you. Notice which one you choose. The opposite foot and leg will be on the ground, hands behind you. And go ahead and press your foot into the ground, press your shin into the ground to lift your pelvis and get a nice quad stretch. You can also press into your hands behind you. You can do all sorts of positions that you need. Notice what makes it feel good to you. I notice that even some people are like, I want to be at an angle to do this. That's fine. You can even take this leg out to the side and go, do I get a bigger stretch at a different angle with my other leg? We do have a ball and socket joint, so use the ball part of the other socket to get what you're looking for in this quad that is on the ground. And neutral, come back to center. The knee that was bent, straighten it. The knee that was up, take that up and over to the outside of that leg. Now, if you want to, you can also bend the bottom leg for an easier transition. You might want this straight. We're going to be turning over the knee that is in front of you. So for me, I like to bend my knee, personally. I like to get a little snuggly and make this my own. For me, it's going to be my left arm up towards the ceiling because my right knee is in front of me. So whatever knee is in front of you, it's going to be the same arm or the opposite arm. Start to twist behind you and notice that from your belly button, your shoulders, and then your head, you can twist. And just begin to let the shoulder that wants to begin to hug that leg. I'm pretty slow with this kind of stuff, so I like to make this like, how would I really want to approach this? How would I want to snuggle my leg? I really take it nice and slow. Noticing though the back of your rib cage. What rib cage needs a little bit more air, a little bit more fullness. Fill that lung up. And then press your foot and hand into the floor to help you exhale. The back of your head might then twist towards the windows or the wall that's behind you. Using your limbs on the exhale to support the press out, to detoxify. It's a rinsing action. To come out, the back of your head can start turning. Then the middle, then the lower, and switch. Switch to the other leg being bent. Opposite knee, place that foot on the floor. Quad stretch. Notice if you want to stay here, you can also go down. You can press into both limbs and lift the pelvis off the ground. Option to use that ball and socket joint of where do you get a different stretch that you're looking for through the other leg? What supports your sensation? Wow, that's fun. Whew. Notice when you're ready to come out. And straighten the leg that was bent. The leg that was already bent, take that up and over the leg. Bend it or don't on the other one. The leg that is in front of you, snuggle it. Start to kind of move in a direction of a twist over the leg that is bent. Where that foot wants to belong. Kind of go, where can that foot find the press like you did at the beginning of class? Then can you snuggle and turn in the way that's healthy for you. Lower spine, mid spine, and then the back of your head gets to visit the wall behind you. How does the back of our head move anyway? And then your eyes get to do the last turn if they would like. Notice where you can fill in the back of your rib cage. Making space behind you. Last 2 breaths. The back of your head turns first, then the middle, and then the lower portion. Move your legs, your arms in a way that is good for you. I personally like to sway back and forth with this Z-sit sort of bit. And take one of your Z-sits to an actual side. And then you get to lean forward into a pigeon pose with a Z-sit. This is very different, but also notice that you can move around in this Z-sit. You can also move that back knee behind you to kind of go somewhere else to give you a pigeon and also inner thigh stretch at the same time. I've also seen myself rotate with this in my upper body in both sides. So notice what you would like to do. Oh wow, that feels lovely. My opposite arm underneath, reaching for the knee that is in front. Yes, that feels interesting. Five more breaths. Be intentional. Notice the front or the sides of your ribs that really need your attention here. Z-sit to the other side. And you might want to do a few Z-sits in between or any kind of movement. That's totally doable. Why not? Notice again where your idea of a Z-sit of where you would want to breathe with and go, that's interesting. And we don't always have to go up against our boundaries. We can go up against places that really move well, that are free. Come back to center. And any kind of movement that you want to do on your back before Shavasana, maybe happy baby or spinal twist, please find. I personally need happy baby. And in happy baby, you can even do Peter Pan, where you straighten one leg and one heel is in towards the groin. And then you can switch sides. Shavasana or another one if you'd like. Any kind of movement you're looking for. Once you get down into your back, notice if you want your legs bent or straight, arms close or far. Notice the sound around you on an inhale and the sound inside of you on an exhale. Small movements to come back with either your tail or your head. Either the head will want to do it, our sky orientated people, or our tail will want to do it, our ground orientated people. Let those parts do it. Find a lateral flexion and keep rolling, 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 rolling. You shouldn't be interrupted to keep rolling. Your spine can keep rolling. And when you get to a space where you can roll up to a seat, please do. And enjoy your day. This was a Fascial Flow. My name is Kayla Ann McGowan. I'm a certified rolfer. Have a good day. My hair is messy.